Hey, thanks for clicking on this link. My name's Essie. Today we're going to go through how you can basically just use ChatGPT, the differences between the paid and the free version, and then also a bit of structure on how to prompt or create a prompt, which is what you use to initially, and I guess, start a conversation with one of these large language models. Now, ChatGPT is one of many, but probably one of the market leaders in terms of functionality. And the great thing is that there's an app for your phone if you're using Android or iPhone. There is also desktop applications, and then also web browser, which is what we're going to use today. So if you're looking for the phone step through, or potentially the app that you can use on your device like your computer or your MacBook, this won't cover that, but this will cover some of the basics when it comes to the prompting that you can use on those. All right, let's get into it. So on this right hand side here, I have the free version, and then on this left hand side over here, I have the paid version. So we'll just quickly touch on some of the differences in the two models between the free and the plus, or the pro or paid version. So the paid version has a far higher amount of usage that you can engage with. So when you're interacting or talking or chatting with one of these large language models, in this case ChatGPT, there's I guess they call it like a rate or a limit that you can do. Now on the free version, you really don't get that much of the ChatGPT 4.0. I think it's probably only about 5 or 10 back and forth. You do have a bit more of this, which is great for just most users, but if you're trying to do more intensive, like create a business plan for this blah blah, this company, yada yada, then some of these bigger models, which is the main differences, and I'll talk about that in a second, the smaller model is better for your day-to-day, and you get more of a usage on the free compared to this model here, which is the 4.0. You get 5 times as much on the paid version. Hope that makes sense. There are a couple other things that you can't do on the free version, but for a new user like yourself, or someone just trying to make sure that they're doing everything right, you probably you won't really notice the big differences. And one of them is creating custom GPTs, and then also the early access to new features, which is, say, for example, the newest model that they brought out, which is O1 and O1 Preview, so O1 Mini and O1 Preview. So those are sort of what I want to touch on. If you're talking about teams and enterprise, there's usually someone in-house or with one of your IT companies that could probably break this down a little bit better. But this model here effectively just has a per user or per seat option, and I think some other functions that they can do. But okay, let's go back into this. So this is the free version here. This is what you'll land on when you first sort of sign up and sign in. It lands on this page, and this message ChatGPT is sort of like where you're going to interact and create your first question or first prompt, as they like to say. And a prompt is this sort of your instructions that you're going to give this large language model, and that large language model will then take that prompt or those instructions and hopefully generate something which is called an output that is useful for you, or is sort of in line with what you've sort of asked for it. So a prompt sort of has like 3 different parts to it. The first part being what you want it to act like, or what you want it to sort of be, and then the second part would be some context of what that is. Then the third part might be an example, and then fourthly, so then maybe there's 4 parts to this, would be what your expected output is. So for example, it could be, you are a personal trainer, and then some context, in New Zealand, and you have 10 years of experience working with clients, aged from, so now I'm going to get more context, aged from 21 to 50 years old. Now, in this situation, that's not too bad. It's not a lot of information in terms of like context, but it's enough to sort of give it an idea. And now I'm going to give it what I want it to achieve. You can create amazing workouts that are tailored to your clients' goals and needs. So, that first part here, like I said, you're a personal trainer. Context here, where they are, what they are. and then the last part of like what you want them to achieve. So let's just send that through. Got it. So now it understands. So like, let's just say I want a program, let's say a league program that is 20 minutes long. And there you go. Now, why is it important to sort of give it some context? Like I was saying before, the context gives it a bit of a guideline. Sort of if you think of it like a method actor, well, not method actor, any actor, you're like, you're this person and you think like this, therefore you act like this. And so in this situation, you're a personal trainer and then you think like this because you've done 10 years of experience working with clients between 21 and 50, which means that you create amazing workouts that are tailored to your client's goals. And then it's like, oh, that's right, yeah, I am. And it starts building this sort of output. Now, that's really simple, like that's as simple as it can be. And that can be the difference between having a pretty decent output or a pretty average output. And you're getting frustrated and getting like, why is it just not doing what I want it to do? That could be where you're going wrong. It could just be this part up here. Now, if you get this output and you're like, it's not quite what I wanted, you can go into here and then you can correct it and you can change it. So you could say, you know, personal trainer with, let's say 20 years experience. And then you could say, let's just go with athletes. Well, we'll go, let's not even worry about age. Let's just say you work with clients that are all athletes. Now if I put that in here, it's going to change the whole outcome, because now it's going, oh, actually, I'm not just your normal personal trainer, I am the best personal trainer. So now when you ask it to make a program, say, I need a 20-minute leg program, because you've told it to think some kind of way, it's going to be very different. It's going to be probably a bit more focused towards being effective to your context and goals up here. That is, I guess, the power of the prompt. If you can just know that there's some formula or some formation of structure, it will help you be able to get better outputs, even on the free version. I mean, we're still using the free version here. And so we're getting some pretty darn good outputs here. Now, talking about the user interface, they're very similar. Well, actually, they're pretty much exactly the same for the paid and the free version. So I'll go, this is paid version over here. The only difference that you probably will see is that here it says auto, and here you can select which model you want to talk to. So I can say this preview, or I can go and select ChatGPT 4, and I can start typing the same questions into this. But for the relevance of this here, really we're talking at the moment about the user interface and also prompting. You're not really going to notice too much difference between the two. Now, if we look at this main screen, you'll see over here on the left-hand side, Explore GPTs. Now, what's that? That is like a marketplace of customized GPTs that have already been created by other people that are using this the same sort of tool. So, as you can see just on this landing page, there's image generator ones. There's Canva, which is Canva is another program that can help you with design and stuff, and they've incorporated this here so you can sort of talk to and ask it to make, you know, social media posts or whatever you need. If you go down, or actually if you click up here, you can navigate across different kinds of genres or topics. And in here you can sort of see, oh, okay, cool, there's a code tutor, oh, that's what I need to do. And you can start talking to it this way. The reason this is handy is that maybe you're not the best, or maybe you're not super confident at the moment about creating the perfect prompt, but maybe all you need is just to get that prompt, get that output done. So maybe clicking on something like Create a Writing Coach is what you need to use. And when you do that, you can sort of walk yourself through and be able to get the job done a lot quicker. Now, you can see just down here, this is in the free version again. You've reached the limit for the day for using ChatGPT 4.0. So that's a shame. That would be where I would say, hey, look, if you're using this as a business tool, or you're hoping to sort of get more out of this day to day, you might be, it might be more beneficial to look at the paid version. And if you're in New Zealand, it's about $37.50 a month. And in the pricing that I was showing you before over here, it's $20 a month US. So of course that price will change for exchange rates as they vary, but that is under Explore GPTs. There's this whole marketplace of ones that you can just check out and click on and play around with and see if they're sort of useful for you. Otherwise, you can, like I said, build that prompt out, go through it, and then see what the output is like. And if you're happy with it, cool, carry on. Now, if we go over to the right-hand side, you'll see my little face there. This is some of the settings and just some of the other parts of this that you might want to know about. So, my GPTs takes you back to that sort of custom GPTs. You can't create it when you're not paying for it. So when you've got the paid version, that's what I was referring to here, create custom GPTs. When you pay for it, you can create your own GPTs, which means that you can sort of train one to sort of act some kind of way for you. But on the free version, you can't. If you click over here again, you've got customize your ChatGPT. Now this is where you can give some custom instructions, and these are the instructions that go along with your prompt when you send it through to the model that give more guidance or more help. So at the moment there's nothing in here, but let's just go over to my paid version and I'll show you what I've got in here. So I've written, and when I say I've written, I've copy and pasted this off some really smart New Zealander who was one of the top machine learning guys, I think, and he had a great video on YouTube. I can't find it anymore, but he was talking about what he was using to help it answer riddles, and this is what he was using. So I copy this and I put it into here, and it gives it some guidance. Now you might be able to find some other options out there on the internet, but I'll put this into the description as well, and that might be useful for some of you, and just see if it helps you. It's been really useful so far for me, and I haven't had any negative issues with it. So please, it's not my own work, and I wish I could sort of reference the original person, but I can't remember their name. But these are the two. We've got on the left-hand side, we have got the paid version. On the right-hand side, we've got the free version. And you can see a couple of differences here. This is where you can browse the internet to find answers, generate images using DALL-E, and then also execute code using Code Interpreter. These are ChatGPT 4 capabilities, and you don't have those options over here on the free version. We'll go back one step, back, exit. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this back, and we'll just continue watching the free version, because this is probably going to be the majority of you looking at this video at the start. Back over here under settings, sorry, we'll just go back into custom. We've checked off this. If you want to do any sort of custom responses, you can also add it to here as well. I'll hide this tip, close this down. Now we'll go down into settings. So in the settings, there's a few things in here. You can archive all of your chats on the left-hand side here, and you can manage them here as well. And now you can also go into personalization. And one thing I want to show you here is that we were just in the custom instructions before, but memory is something that you might want to understand quickly, because when you're using these models and you start talking to it, it's trying to be as useful as possible, and it starts to remember just random things that you might have said. So, as an example, from that prompt before, it's going to say, like, you are, and this is telling the large language model, a personal trainer in New Zealand, 10 years experience, yada, yada, yada. But that might be useful if you're only using this for that kind of prompting. But what happens if you start asking about financial services or some other stuff? Well, now, this is going to be a bit of a problem, because it's going to be thinking, when you put up that prompt, it's going to take this, along with that custom instruction that we just looked at before, and put it all together in a prompt. So it's going to be like, okay, so I'm a personal trainer, but that's also a financial advisor. And then now I'm also an All Black. Like it might get a little bit confused, and that might mean that the output is a little bit messy or not quite right. So here's where you can manage your memory. And all you do, you can just go delete something that's not relevant for what you're sort of currently working on, or you can turn that off, or you can just leave it on. Clear your memory will just clear lots and lots of it. And if I show you my paid version, you'll see that there is a little bit more than the average in terms of information here. So you had a customer experience, you're professional, you're good at writing, and that can really skew your results if you're trying to do prompts that sort of might be on a specific subject, or with hoping for the right output. We'll just go back into those settings. So those under personalization, under speech, this is where you can choose the voice that you're going to use for speech. Data control, manage shared links. You don't have any shared links, export data. You can export data, delete your account if you don't want to use this account anymore. That's where you'd find that. Builder profile, this is where you can sign up to be a builder, which means that you're going to be able to create those GPTs that we looked at before in that marketplace, and then also have people get sort of reference to where they need to go. Here, if you want to add your Google Drive, some of this stuff here is useful if you're trying to access files from some of those locations. And then in security, I would highly recommend multi-factor, so 2FA, which is what you turn on, and then you can add either a recovery email, but you can just add the authenticator app on your phone, or if you're sharing your login, which I know I've heard people do, you can just log out of everyone, and that's quite handy as well. And that way they're not inside of it. So that's a really quick rundown on how to use and navigate the UI or the user interface for ChatGPT. Now, let's just quickly touch on the paid version, because there are a couple of differences that you might want to understand. And they mostly revolve around how to select custom or selecting the right model for what you're trying to achieve. So as you can see with the description there, it's pretty basic, but it says great for most tasks, useful for advanced reasoning, faster at reasoning, and if I click on here, faster for everyday tasks, and legacy model, meaning that it's a model that they don't really support anymore, but it's available there. Now there's one more thing on this, and that's the temporary chat. And when you turn this on, it means that it doesn't add it to your sort of taskbar or your previous conversations. That could be useful if you're trying to find presents for your partner or something, and you might share accounts, or if you just want to make sure that you haven't got any footprints left of information that you're sort of inquiring about or searching. So I've selected 4.0 mini, but then I can go and select O1 Preview. And O1 Preview is the latest model out there, and I'm going to just select one of these things here. This is an example. Now with the paid version, you get a certain amount of usages with this model, and I think it's like 30 a week, 30 messages, so that being one that I've just sent it. And if I follow up, it would be another one and another one. And I think they've just increased it to 50 a week, and this is because it takes a lot more time to do this thinking. Now this question here, which you're seeing, was a question that stumped some of these other models. So if I copy this, actually we might just be able to change the model here, and let's just go to 4.0, and I'll rerun this. Send. Now we should be using this model here. Well, it's done a pretty good job. Okay. And let's just go to 4, which is the legacy model. Let's just see if it goes 2, because it was saying 2 before. Hey, look, it might be good. Well, let's just try this one more time. This is just more out of curiosity. It was getting stuck. But now it seems to have, they must have taught it something anyway. But that was a joke that was inside ChatGPT, because when you'd ask it how many R's are in strawberry, it would only ever say 2, no matter what. And you're like, are you sure? And it's like, yeah, 100%, it's only 2. And you're like, okay, well, I believe you. Anyway, so that's the biggest differences between the paid and free versions, that you can select your models here. You can also create your own custom GPTs. And so what they are, if I click on here, let's go train companion. This is the model that I sort of trained, and this one here is built to help build programs, and I've given it context, and I've given it some information that I've learnt, and it will write a workout for me based off what it knows, without having to do all the preamble, without having to say that you're going to be this or that, that you've got 20 years experience. I've already done that in the back end. And if you want to see how we quickly do that, if I go into here, we can edit this GPT. And this is the configuration. So in the back end, this is what I've said to it, the instructions, as you can see, for personal training, blah, 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 limitations, answers only safe, reasonable queries, fitness, nutrition, some of the conversation starters I've got. If I'd uploaded any knowledge base, so if I given it some files, or maybe I've written some ebooks and workouts, I could have put it into here. And then here's how you can sort of guide it and train it. And then the end user, or say you go onto that thing and you look at bots to do training for, you'd be able to find my little workout bot there and play with it. So that's probably the biggest difference with free to paid from the custom GPT. One, that you can use it with the free version, but when you're paying for it, you can actually create your own, which can be quite handy when it comes to, say, like this. Like I was working out some investment stuff, and so I just created one, I trained it on some of the ebooks that I had. I think I gave it Barefoot Investors ebook, and so then I can just talk to it without me having to sort of go through the book and sort of search. And it gives me some answers. Now, there's definitely, you've got to be careful with using this in the public space for conflict of copyright, but just so you know, that, you can do this type of stuff if you want to. Look, I think that's a pretty basic, but hopefully good coverage of everything that there is to know from using ChatGPT from the get-go. I've covered everything from the prompting to the user interface, differences between the free and the paid version, and then also just some tips in terms of selecting the right model if you are using the paid version, and those custom GPTs. But if there is anything I've missed and you want me to cover it, I'm happy to. But if you have any questions or you've got anything to add, or I've said something wrong and you think you could say it better, please just put it in the comments below. It's better to share that knowledge than just sort of be critical. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.